In 2018, Thailand did something almost no country does. It closed its most famous beach. Not for a season, indefinitely.
And the reason is the cruelest paradox in travel. The film that sold the fantasy of finding a paradise nobody knows about is precisely what brought thousands of people a day to the same strip of sand.
Things you've never seen now revealed.
This is Destinations in Detail.
In the year 2000, a film was released about a young traveler searching for a secret beach. A perfect place nobody knows about, far from the crowds and far from mass tourism. It was called The Beach, directed by Danny Boyle and starring Leonardo DiCaprio, and it sold a fantasy that anyone who has ever traveled recognizes instantly. Find the place before it becomes famous. The film was shot at a cove called Maya Bay on the island of Phi Phi Lay in Thailand. And here's the irony that defines this entire story. A film about finding a paradise nobody knows about turned that specific cove into the best-known beach in Southeast Asia, and very nearly destroyed it. 18 years later, Thailand closed it, not for a season, indefinitely.
Because what happened after that film is one of the clearest cases of over-tourism ever documented. Maya Bay is small, a crescent of white sand about 250 meters long, wrapped in limestone cliffs. And at the peak of its fame, estimates put the number of visitors somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000 people a day, depending on which source you read. One account records 200 motorboats arriving daily. The national park it sits inside was on track for 2.5 million visitors in 2018. Picture that on a strip of sand shorter than 3 city blocks, every day, all day.
And the damage wasn't the noise, or the ruined photograph, or the disappointing experience. It was underwater, where nobody was looking. Because most of those people arrive by boat, and boats have to stop. And the way you stop a boat is by dropping an anchor. Thousands of anchors every day, landing on a coral reef. Add the sunscreen washing off thousands of bodies entering the water at once, and the estimates are stark. As much as 50% of the coral in the surrounding waters was destroyed. More than half of it suffered major damage. And coral is not rock. It's a living animal that grows slowly and supports everything else living there. The black-tip reef sharks that used the bay as a mating pool simply left. What remained was a beautiful beach on the surface, with a desert underneath. So in June of 2018, Thailand's Department of National Parks did something almost no country does. It closed the beach.
The closure was meant to last 4 months. It lasted nearly 4 years. But before we get to what happened during those years, and what happened is genuinely remarkable, you need to know who actually pays the bill when a beach closes. Because it isn't the tourist.
The people who pay are the residents, the families who make a living taking visitors out by boat, renting snorkeling gear, selling food, working in hotels. A tourism professor who studied the effect of the closure on the people of Phi Phi summed up the dilemma honestly. We have to reopen at some point, and we will never get it exactly right. And he added something that those of us watching from a distance tend to forget. For people who depend on Phi Phi for a modest living, thinking beyond today is difficult enough already. Some argue the answer is to make the cove a premium destination, using high prices as a filter, with that extra money paying for the protection of the place. Others consider that deeply unfair. Serious people hold both positions, and this video is not going to choose for you. What's worth knowing is that the decision to close was not made in a comfortable office. There was public outcry from Thai citizens themselves, angry at images of crowds packed into what was officially a protected area.
And what happened during those 4 years is the most hopeful part of this story. Marine scientists, led by the biologist Thon Thamrongnawasawat, began replanting coral by hand, piece by piece. More than 30,000 pieces of coral, much of it grown near a neighboring island and then transplanted into Maya Bay. About half of it survived. There was bleaching. Not everything took. But the half that took began growing and spreading on its own. And here's the number that shows the scale of what was achieved. Without that transplanting, natural regeneration of the reef would have taken between 30 and 50 years. With human work, it took 4, and the wildlife followed the coral back, as it always does. Today, the bay holds clownfish, lobsters, and around 160 blacktip reef sharks, which, incidentally, are harmless to people.
Maya Bay reopened on the 1st of January 2022, but it reopened as a different place, and the new rules are a portrait of everything that was learned. The limit became 380 visitors per hour. Read that again. Per hour, not per day. Boats no longer enter the bay at all. They moor at a buoy line outside it, and visitors arrive via a new pier built round the back of the island, so that no anchor ever touches the reef again. Swimming in the cove is prohibited, and there is an annual seasonal closure to let the ecosystem rest. You can still see Maya Bay, you simply can no longer use it the way it was used. And before anyone calls that excessive, it's worth remembering what happened when there were no rules at all. One practical note, these rules have changed several times since reopening, so check the current ones before you travel.
And this is where the episode stops being about one beach and becomes useful for your trip. Because Thailand has hundreds of islands, and what separates them is almost never beauty. It's distance. Phi Phi is a couple of hours from Phuket, and that is precisely why it receives crowds. But look further down the map, near the border with Malaysia, and there are islands 5 hours by boat from the mainland, effectively the end of the line. The water there is the same. The sand is the same. And there is a fraction of the people. Distance works as a filter. Every extra hour on a boat removes a large share of visitors because most travelers won't pay that price in time. So when you choose an island, count the boat hours. That single variable will change your experience more than any hotel rating.
Which leaves 4 practical things to take with you. First, if you go somewhere famous, go at the first hour of the day. The big tours leave Phuket and arrive mid-morning. Whoever arrives before them sees a different place, and it genuinely is a different place. Second, count the boat hours. Third, and almost nobody knows this, near a reef, use sunscreen without oxybenzone, and never stand on coral. The seabed looks like rock, but it's a living animal, and one footstep kills what took years to grow. And fourth, the uncomfortable one, today's undiscovered place is tomorrow's cue. If you found a piece of the world that still feels like yours, go now and go carefully, because your photograph is the beginning of the next crowd.
And that's what makes this story stay with you. The film sold the fantasy of finding a paradise nobody knows about. That fantasy is beautiful, it's legitimate, and every traveler has felt it. But it carries a trap inside it. The search for the untouched place is exactly what touches it. There is no invisible visitor. Everyone looking for somewhere before it becomes famous is, themselves, the very beginning of its fame. And that isn't a reason not to travel. It's a reason to travel knowingly. Because the difference between destroying a place and living alongside it was never whether you go. It was always how you arrive, how many arrive with you, and what you leave behind.
Maya Bay is in the end the most complete lesson in modern travel. A beach so beautiful that a film made it famous. So famous that thousands came. So many that the coral beneath them died. So damaged that a country closed its own most valuable attraction for 4 years. And so cared for that scientists put 30,000 pieces of coral back by hand and the sharks came home. Every part of that chain was set in motion by ordinary people on holiday, doing nothing that felt wrong at the time. That's why understanding a place before you arrive matters more than any packing list. That's why we look at the world's destinations in detail.
Now tell me in the comments, do you prefer the famous destination or the hard-to-reach one? And what's the most remote place you've ever visited? Write it below. I read them all. And those are the best stories on this channel. If this made you feel more prepared, leave a like, subscribe, and save it to rewatch before you pick your island. And don't miss the next episode of the series, where we explain something that puzzles almost everyone who lands there. Why entire neighborhoods in Thailand have signs written in Cyrillic. See you there, here on Destinations in Detail.